welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of Game Rivals. I am one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and with me, as always, is the lovely, the talented, the PlayStation aficionado himself, Sean Templar. How's it going, Sean?
I'm good, Max. I'm good, and this is kind of like a special episode, I guess, because for the first time, people will actually be able to see us record this episode.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, if you're on our YouTube channel, you can see us. Hi, I'm
Hello.
Maximilian X.
And I'm Sean Templar.
And if you're listening to the audio version, that's great. Thank you, as always, for supporting us. If you're curious about what we look like, if you haven't seen us yet on our Instagram accounts, feel free to go to our YouTube channel. The link is in the description of this episode. Along with the links to our other places, including to our Instagrams, which is @GameRivals, and my gaming Instagram, which is @Maximilian_X. So you can find us there, the content that we post there that is related to video games, specifically also to the podcast. So let's just jump right in, because as we always do, we start with news, and we have a lot to cover. Starting with, let's just start with one of the biggest things that goes on in the gaming industry, which is E3. We've been wondering for quite some time now what E3 is going to be looking like in 2021, mostly because of the pandemic. And we got an answer, finally. We got an answer, at least from the ESA, that E3 in 2021 is going all digital.
Yay! Well, at least we're getting an E3, because last year it was they wanted to do something, and in the end they didn't. And then Geoff Keighley stepped in, and he did the Summer Games Festival, which was pretty nice, besides being a little bit confusing. But hey, I'm all for it. I think the pandemic has taught us that we can adapt. We can do stuff we normally don't do. I mean, all big events have gone digital, and so far, I think besides the Xbox ones, they've all been pretty well.
Yeah. So the ESA announced that they are looking into making E3 digital for 2021. The ESA is the body that basically represents the gaming industry in the US, and basically does stuff like lobbying for the games industry and whatnot. And they also organize E3. So,
and if you're lucky, they'll also leak out your contact information.
Oh yeah, that happened back when 2019. Ooh, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah,
a lot of people were not happy.
I can't imagine. I mean, would you?
No, absolutely not, because people were getting harassed, and it wasn't cool at all.
Yep.
So this year they're looking to get it digital. They are talking to other people, the bigger companies, to see if they're all going to be on board. Their idea is making the digital more inclusive. This includes having demos available during E3 week, which is from June 15th to the 17th. This is going to be a 3-day event. They're going to have press conferences or keynotes on the 14th, so the day before. So mark your calendars if you haven't already. And they're still looking into it, seeing as long as everybody that they're asking wants to go along with it, they might be able to do it. They're also doing some stuff behind the scenes that will allow people to, do the networking, which is very important, especially for indie developers. They're also having a judges week, as they did before, but this time the judges are able to, partake from the comfort of their home or their office. How they're going to do that, I don't know, because they also have to do, Judges Week, Double Liberation, nominate games that are going to win awards during E3, which is something that they normally do. How that's going to look like, we don't know yet. We know from one reporting from VGC that one big company says that they're not gonna participate because the ESA is asking for a six-figure number for them to donate so that they can participate in E3. They didn't mention which company, but we can probably speculate as to which one, seeing as Sony did not participate in 2019 and they were not going to participate in 2020 to begin with.
But I think, I mean, like, if you're talking about six figures, that's a lot of money to make something like this happen. I mean, if anything, the pandemic has proven is that we can do all sorts of stuff without being tied to the way it was. And I wonder if, I mean, you you raised this argument before, saying that E3 is not just about showing games; it's also about securing deals if you're a developer for publishing and stuff like that. But I mean, one, indie publishing has become even more easier with things like the Epic Game Store and offering developers bigger cuts. We still, of course, have Steam, other online platforms, GOG, and I mean, if people want to sell their game to a publisher, they've had to do it in the last year. So, and there were no trade shows then. So, who says that E3 might not just go away completely, and developers will not find another way to bring their games to market, be it through a publisher or by self-publishing? I mean, I mentioned this before. That, like, I watched the Play, Watch, Listen podcast, and in one of those episodes, in every episode, there's a game director called Mike Bithell. He made Thomas Is Alone. And last year during the pandemic, they made a solitaire game and they released it on Steam. And the game is super positively rated. It's selling well, from what I understood. And he just used word of mouth and basically the podcast and Twitter and like social media to promote his game. And they self-published their game, and that works for them. So who says it? We need an E3, to be honest.
I mean, we still don't know what this digital E3 is going to look like. We also don't know which publishers are going to partake in it, seeing as a lot of them are doing their own stuff. I doubt that E3 is going to be there. They're pretty sure they're just going to do their EA Play thing like they did last year, which...
But EA Play was outside of the E3 window.
Yeah, like just barely.
Yeah, so... I mean, I can see Ubi doing something outside of the E3 window. I don't know if Bethesda's going to do anything or that'll just be tied into the Microsoft stuff. I mean, I can see Microsoft also doing their own stuff. I mean, I just genuinely wonder if we need an E3. I mean, the days that people would go to E3s and it would be all these amazing press conferences and we would get all this great news, it's becoming less and less. I mean, if I look at the last E3 that Sony joined, that was in 2018, and they had this really weird setup in which they had they showed like The Last of Us for a bit, and then people had to wait until they kind of changed the venue around, to put it that way, and then they showed a bit of Ghost of Tsushima. They like showed like 3 or 4 games, and they changed the whole scene for it to kind of immerse people into it. Besides that, they didn't show a lot. And I mean, like, it doesn't feel like we're getting a lot out of E3 anymore from an announcement point of view. It feels like those things are spread out more over the year instead of jam-packed into 1 week, because otherwise it gets snowed under. I know that, I mean, I always look forward to the Ubisoft press conference because they generally announce the coolest games. They can deliver on it is another question, unfortunately. But at the same time, I mean, like, there's maybe some games that there are like a few games that always grab your attention and you kind of follow that game whole through E3. And then in the months later, you find out there were a lot of other games that got announced there. And you're like, oh yeah, I probably forgot about that because I was too focused on these big games.
I mean, that is something, but that also depends on the person. I mean, you're going to focus on things that you like anyways. And some people like to go it broad. Some people like to go it very specific. And yeah, with that, you can just, pick and choose. Especially with going all digital, you can pick and choose now what you want to follow. So I feel that the all digital might actually could be a bit more detrimental if they don't plan it correctly. Which also brings us to the fact that Summer of Games is back this year. Geoff Keighley said that he was going to look into it, but it's also been confirmed that that is coming back this year. So how is that going to look like? We don't know. Is it going to be spread over 2 months like they did last year? I don't know.
I thought it was pretty confusing last year because besides the main event he did, what was it called again? It was around the Gamescom window. I don't remember. He did this big event during Gamescom in which they did a lot of announcements in one go.
Gamescom Live.
No. They had a different name for it. I forgot. But that they had this main event. It was one evening, and they did like a lot of world premieres or of exclusive announcements, and I felt like that really worked. But the other things they did, they kind of smeared it out over the 2-month period. And I know one of the highlights was the Unreal Engine 5 being showcased, running on PS5. But it felt so like they were trying to squeeze more out of it than there was actually available. I mean, just do it in a couple of days or do it in a whole day. I mean, no use to drag it out because eventually I was confused and I didn't know what was being announced when and how. And eventually I was like, you know what, never mind. I'll just read the news articles or the headlines.
Well, to be fair, he had to do this all last minute because, and don't forget, last year we also have the whole pandemic thing. So
it's called planning Opening Night Live, I think.
Yeah, Opening Night Live.
Opening Night Live. Yeah.
I mean, you have to plan around all this stuff with like other companies, and I'm giving him A for effort because at least he was able to get something done, and the ESA didn't. And I mean, I know he has a team, but he's still one man that has to approach all these companies and all these people to ask for them to participate. And I'm sure there was definitely some, money hat going around to, get featured. But you also have to remind yourself that you have to prep for this stuff. You have to prep for it in a completely different way than you're used to. And I'm not sure that not everybody was used to doing that. And at the very least, the one thing that apparently you weren't able to find, on the Summer of Games website, you can actually subscribe to the calendar for Summer of Games and have it automatically pop up in your calendar. Like, these are the announcements that are coming.
At
first, they're like hidden stuff, and then they get revealed, and it's actually kind of cool. But yeah, the Summer of Games thing was not meant to replace E3. It was meant to be a celebration of gaming during the summer, because everybody's off. And you maybe want to learn more about, your favorite games coming out or new games coming out. So, I don't know. Considering that I think it started like the week after E3 was supposed to start or the week during E3. There might be a little bit of conflict going on there. I don't know what the timing is on Summer of Games. We haven't gotten the dates for that yet, as far as I know. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to tackle that, how Geoff Keighley's going to tackle that. And I'm pretty sure that's going to have an impact on who shows what, where, and when. Because if you're one of the big three, excluding probably Sony, Microsoft might still do it. And I'm pretty sure that Nintendo will still do it. But then again, Nintendo always does their own like digital direct or, whatever the showcase is that they do pre-recorded.
If they're going to do a new console, they have to do it this year because they want maximum impact and like creating buzz if there's going to be a new console this year.
Assuming they announce something for this year. I doubt it. At best, we might see a special edition Zelda console, but if they're going for a new console, I don't know.
I think they'll maybe do the announcement this year, but probably launch like in March next year, something like that. Like they would do with Switch.
Nintendo's MO is mostly like trying to keep it tight as possible because remember, the Switch was announced in November.
Yes.
Like it was revealed in November, got revealed in January, like got a full unveiling in January, and it then came out in March. So that's maybe 4 months lead up, maybe
Yeah.
4 or 5 months lead up. Nintendo likes to keep it tight with announcements because they don't like things to be stretched out too much. It's like a very great way to build hype because then you're basically having people that are hyped for like a couple of months leading into whatever it is that they're announcing. With a few exceptions, of course, Bayonetta 3. Yeah, so I don't know if we talked about it the last time, but the director of the Bayonetta series, Hideki Kamiya, said, "Yeah, don't think about Bayonetta 3 stuff for anytime soon." So they're still saying that it's plodding along nicely, but just don't expect any announcements about Bayonetta 3, which can mean a lot of things, but it also basically means that they're still working on it. We'll just won't know when that's gonna come out.
Yeah, I mean, there are some good games coming to the Switch this year, and like pretty soon as well. We had Bowser's Fury, we have Monster Hunter Rise, maybe Breath of the Wild sequel.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, Bravely Default 2 is also coming out at the end of this month. So yeah, that's only a few. New Pokemon Snap is coming out at the end of April. But like I said, their fiscal year ends in March, so I guess we won't hear anything about that until after March. The fact that Pokemon the Pokemon Snap is launching in the next fiscal year is pretty telling. So that's like the first major release from, well, mostly the Pokemon Company, and Namco Bandai. Yeah, Namco Bandai is actually developing the game. So that's the first big like title that's gonna come to Switch. That
Is Pokemon Snap
first party.
Is Pokemon Snap being developed by Namco Bandai?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, I was surprised by it too, but it kind of makes sense considering that they've been in a good relationship with Nintendo and, property of Transition. They also have a good relationship with the Pokemon Company.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is true, but I read like last week that there's even a Zelda game that was developed by Capcom.
Yeah, like Capcom developed like a bunch of Zelda games.
I had no idea
on the Game Boy the Game Boy Color. Yeah,
I'm just completely shocked by it. When I heard it, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they got a deal back in the day to make some Zelda games for the handhelds. So one of the first things that they did, let me think about this. One of the first things that they had was a project where they were like Project Triforce, and it was supposed to be 3 games. But it ended up being the 2 that were released, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. That was developed by Capcom. It was supposed to be like the Triforce, but I think that there were some developments about the 3rd game that weren't going well, so Miyamoto was like, no, make it 2 games. Okay. So they ended up making it 2 games. After that, they made the Minish Cap on Game Boy Advance. They also did the port of Link's Awakening. Sorry, not Link's Awakening. A Link to the Past and 4 Swords to Game Boy Advance. So that was also them. I don't think they did anything after that, but those are the games that Capcom made in terms of like Zelda games.
Nice. I didn't know. It was really fun to find out. And then my camera dropped. Yeah, this video thing it's our first go, so I hope people will bear with us that it's a lot of learnings.
I'm sure they're gonna be lenient enough. Like your tripod, very leaning.
Yeah, indeed, it leans always.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm kind of curious to see what that's gonna be like. What isn't gonna be that surprising for us is that we will be able to play at least one new game on the PlayStation 5. Do you know which game that is, Sean Templar?
Of course I know which game that is. That is a game a lot of us are looking forward to, and that is Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart.
Yeah, when is it coming out?
I think it got a release date like yesterday or the day before, and it's coming out June 11th of this year.
Yep.
It's only like 4 months away now. Yay!
It's literally a few days before E3, bro.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see if the PlayStation crowd is even gonna be paying attention to whatever E3 is gonna be like, because they'll be way deep into Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yeah, and I think that the announcement of Ratchet and Clank coming in June kind of shows what Sony's probably going to do with the rest of the year, in which that besides Ratchet and Clank, they would only have 2 more games, or maybe 3 more games. We're kind of sure that's going to come out this year. One being Gran Turismo, the other being God of War, and the other one being Horizon Forbidden West. I think Gran Turismo will definitely come out this year because it has like a really specific audience that plays that game. So it won't get in any risk territory of being cannibalized. But if we look at Horizon Forbidden West and God of War, I think God of War is going to get pushed because I don't know if Sony can afford to bring. I mean, like both games will sell if you bring them out in a short window back to back. But I'm afraid that if they do, for example, God of War first, and then either way around, basically, God of War will sell probably more than Horizon Forbidden West because God of War is, I think, the popular game. I mean, it won Game of the Year, even though I also enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn a lot. I think Sony is going to just like spread it out and say like, you know what, we'll just do Forbidden West this year, and then we'll do God of War Ragnarok early next year. Instead of saying, you know, we'll kind of do what they did last year with Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us, that they brought them out like with a month between them. And it worked for both games because it was both completely different games. And personally, The Last of Us was a great game, but Ghost of Tsushima was my game of the year above Last of Us, even though Last of Us won Game of the Year with a lot of award shows. But I don't know if they can risk it to say like we'll bring out these 2 major games in a short succession and hope it sells for the best. Then it's just better to say like, hey, you know what, we'll just do Q1 of 2022 because basically nothing is released in that window generally, and then they have like a huge hit on their hand.
But I think we all kind of know that God of War is going to get delayed anyways. I was saying that from the get-go, like, oh yeah, they didn't give us a date. Yeah, that's not happening this year.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't understand why they announced it coming this year. Just say, like, we're working on it.
Yeah. That I have no idea why they decided to say this year, other than to get people excited for it.
Yeah.
And to, you know, entice people to be early adopters of the system, which sure,
I think we're in a unique position, and I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or because of something else, that we are in a position that demand is vastly bigger than supply for both next-gen consoles. But I think more for the PS5, because I'm hearing all over the place that people are getting Xbox Series X's. Again, I am seeing them pop up more and more online. People just buy them and try to resell them, and they ask like 75, maybe 100 euros more than the selling price. And I think, and Microsoft has said themselves, like, hey, we expect the shortages to last till June. Sony has said, we don't know. AMD is saying, hey, we're pretty tight on all CPUs and GPUs right now. Our own CPUs and GPUs are also constrained, and expect this to last till the second half of the year. So hopefully after the summer, people will just be able to walk into a store and grab a PlayStation off the shelves and play it. I think it'll be stronger for Sony going into the next holiday season, but yeah, they just need to make sure that the games are there for when the people buy it, because that's some of the things that I'm running into right now is that I finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla on my PS5, and there are a couple of few games out there that I want to buy for my 5, but it's not like I I have to have them right now. I can wait. Actually, I am waiting for a sale instead of buying them outright. Also because I have a backlog I'm working on. Yay! But but like there's if for example Horizon came out tomorrow, that's a game like I need to have Horizon, you know.
Yeah.
But it's pretty quiet now. Like the first game where I actually think like, oh, I need to have that would be Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which is coming out in March. And then maybe
did I get a solid date? I think it only got like the vague March.
It's still March, yeah. So hopefully we'll get like a state of play soon, going a little bit more into the game because I'm afraid that game is also at risk of being pushed because they announced it last year. They said it was going to come out last year. Then they pushed it, and since the initial announcement, there's been nothing around the game. It's been all quiet, and we've seen it with multiple games that get announced and then all quiet equals being pushed sometimes a whole year, like Hogwarts Legacy, for example. So, yeah, I mean, that would be really nice, but that's like a month away. And then in another month, after that, we'll get Returnal, which I'm also looking forward to. So, like, that's March and April that I get 2 games. Yay! But besides that, we don't know. And, I mean, besides churning out as many consoles as they can, they also need to make sure that the games are there. Otherwise, people will just play PS4 games on it, which I'm also doing because
you have nothing else to play.
Yeah, basically that.
Yeah. Well, that and you're too much of a coward to get Demon Souls.
Well, actually, talking about Demon Souls, I am going to get Demon Souls. But the only issue I'm running into right now is that it's 80 euros. And I don't know if I will... I'm determined to play that game. But I don't know how strong my will is to play that game. Like, if I'm going to buy it, will I play it like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and then never touch it again? Or will I just... I mean, like, now I'm saying, like, oh, I'm going to try it. I'm going to go till the end, you know? I'm going to finish it as soon as I start it. But you know how things are. So I'm weighing the financial part of it. Like, I'd rather wait for that game to be in a sale and be like 40, 50 euros and then buy it. And then if I don't end up playing it as much as I wanted to, or if I just abandon the whole quest to finish that game, I'll be like, well, at least I spent $50 on it. If I spend 80 euros on it, that will hurt more, you know? So that's like the only thing that's holding me. If they throw the game into sale tomorrow, I'll probably end up buying it.
All right. Well, I'll make sure that you keep your word on that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have some plans for that game, so you know, I'm a man of my word.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of delays, one of our favorite games got delayed again. A certain Persian prince
unfortunately, yes,
is taking the long route. Well, unfortunately, fortunately, because the first initial outing that they showed did not look so hot. I mean, I might as well just boot up my GameCube and play it on there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And the funny thing there was that they said that when they showed it off at E3, it didn't look as nice as people were expecting. And then they said, yeah, but it's an old build we're showing you. And then I think like a couple of days later, they released screenshots of a newer build, which actually looked better. But the game did get pushed. Yeah, but like compared to what we saw initially, you could actually see a difference. But what we're having now is that it got delayed before it got indefinitely delayed. But it got delayed by like a month or 2 months because it was going to come out it was going to come out in March, and now they've said we've delayed it indefinitely, which is unfortunate, but better for the game in the end, I think.
Well, indefinite can mean one of two things. One, they're actually legitimately working on making it look better. Two is they're looking to see if it's actually going to turn out as well as people hoped. And odds are that it might also get canceled altogether.
I don't hope so.
So we don't know.
Yeah, I read.
We don't know about that one.
I read yesterday that Ubisoft said during their earnings call that their main strategy has been to focus on like 4 or 3 AAA games throughout the year. And now what they want to do is they want to kind of spread their bet over multiple games and say like, okay, instead of doing these 4 AAA games, let's just also do smaller games, or let's just try to do free-to-play games, or let's just try to do other games, So they're trying to diversify their portfolio, which is a really good thing, because
Definitely.
you never know how their gamble works out. I mean, they did a free-to-play battle royale game set in the future. I think it's called Hyperscape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking of the name.
I don't know if that game is a success. I don't know if it's.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't.
I can try. It is available on PC, so I think I might try it this weekend on GeForce Now. So
yeah, I mean, like I've looked at it. It doesn't really appeal to me. I mean, it's just like I'm not into those kinds of games. But I don't know, because I don't hear anybody talk about it. I don't see anyone talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But at least they're trying stuff, unlike certain other companies, Activision. But
they probably stick to the why fix it if it's not broke formula.
Yeah, oof. Yeah. On the other hand, I wish some other companies would do that as well.
Diversify, or why fix if it's not broke?
Yeah, because some try to go way too much in the other extreme and then make ridiculous stuff that makes no sense. Sega. So, yeah, like it's any big secret. Come on, man. They're the guys that gave us Shadow the Hedgehog, for crying out loud.
I haven't played a lot of Sonic games. I don't know a lot about Sonic.
Yeah, just know that there's like a lot of potential that is just being missed, and they have more misses than hits, but people really love them for the hits. And their hits are really good.
As long as they keep churning out Total War games, I'm happy.
Yeah.
They announced, oh, by the way, that one flew under the radar. They announced Total War Warhammer 3 for PC. I think I saw it last week. I'm not a Warhammer fan, so I skipped those games, but I know that they're really, really good based on reviews and things I've seen online. So they've announced that one coming out. So I think that one's being done by the main team that did Three Kingdoms a couple of years ago. So it's a properly fully fledged, huge Total War game.
Nice, cool.
Yeah,
I remember playing the Warhammer 4K games, strategy games. Those are pretty good.
Yeah, the Dawn of War, and I really like Space Marine. That was like the third-person shooter they made. It was done by Relic, who made Dawn of War. Such a shame they didn't do more with it.
I know of that. I've never played it.
It's a really good one. The voice actor for that's also cool. The main character is voiced by Mark Strong, which is like a really fitting character for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's on PC, right? So I
also on console.
I'm saying PC because I'm gonna see if I can try and find like a Steam sale on that one, and hopefully it's also compatible with GeForce Now, and then it makes things a lot easier.
I think you're never gonna buy a new PC now that you have GeForce Now.
I have to. There are certain things that I can't do on GeForce Now. So I have to eventually upgrade my PC.
But I don't think you need like a
I don't
$2,000 euros PC. You can if you get like €1,000 PC, I think you'll be fine, right? You don't need like the top end of the specs, right?
No, as long as I can play like the most recent games and I can stream from it, that should be fine. Because streaming from my rig is still a bit of a hassle. It's not that it's not impossible. It's just I need to do some stuff there to, make it work again. And hopefully I will not be kicked out for doing anything shady, unlike certain people in Tokyo have been.
Oh, yeah.
Because, so apparently scalping is still rampant in the gaming industry, people. And not just in the West, not just in Europe, not just in the States, but also in Japan. Even though they have a very particular lottery system when it comes to like buying stuff that is in low stock or in high demand, they tend to use like a lottery system, but not all stores are equal in their lottery systems, and they tend to get gamed by scalpers, which is what has been happening recently with a certain Tokyo retailer. I I don't have the article right in front of me, but basically what it is now is that they had an issue a couple of weeks back where a bunch of people are just basically rioting to get lottery tickets to get the chance to buy a PlayStation 5. And there were a lot of them, and they were getting into scuffs and whatnot. So I don't remember this retailer. I
Can
think
you
it was
get
Yodobashi
more
or
than?
something.
Can you get more than one lottery ticket?
No, but if you come as a group, you can, of course, as a group buy.
Ah,
Assuming the whole group gets selected, which, like I was saying, was based on buyer history. So they were giving the tickets to people that have bought a lot in the past,
oh
which was
wow.
unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that
didn't know
system was so they gamed that system and it felt really rigged. So they changed it to that you have to have a membership card or like a specific credit card tied to that retailer,
that.
and you're only allowed to buy one system per person.
Okay.
So you can only enter the lottery system if you have that membership, and that lottery gives you the opportunity to buy one should your number get pulled.
Mm.
So hopefully with that it curbs it somewhat, but I don't know how much it's gonna curb it.
Yeah. I mean, like here in the Netherlands, I know that Coolblue, for example, they did a raffle. I mean, after they saw what happened when they launched the Xbox Series X, it went completely nuts. But apparently, it took their website down. So from like their first wave of PS5s, they did like a raffle system. They said like I remember it was during the time of what's it called in English? Sinterklaas. Uh,
It's basically the Dutch version of Santa Claus.
yeah, but like we also have Christmas. Anyways, so like they did like you had to take a picture of your shoe because you're like traditionally putting your shoe under the chimney, and then they would just pick I think 200 or 400 people randomly, and then in the second wave they also raffled it off just by picking people randomly, and then I know that Bol.com just threw them online. But apparently, unfortunately, the site also got it didn't get taken down, but had a lot of issues. And then people were able to buy them, but actually didn't get them because the units were sold out. So what they did then was say, like, you know what, we'll put you on the reserve list, and when new units come in, we'll first contact you and let you know that they're in, and then if you want one, we can give it to you, instead of just throwing them online again. And I think the Game Mania is just doing pre-orders; they're not selling anything online, and I haven't heard anything of the MediaMarkt doing anything online. So they're like doing all pre-orders. The only company that throws them online is Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then it's first come, first serve.
yeah, first come first serve, and I think
Which
those
is
are the ones that are most prone to the scalpers.
no, they're the less because if you're just putting them up whenever, the scalpers don't have the time to set up their stupid bots. Unless they have bots that keep an eye on specific items on Amazon, which then I guess we're
Yeah, but
back
like
to square one.
I think that the bots. I mean, like I know that there are these groups that have bots in them, and then on Telegram, for example, and they just go out and just notify you when the stock is coming up. So I think those bots are linked as well, and they should be able to just pick or order those units as soon as they get the notification.
Yeah, which really sucks.
Yep.
So I guess we'll see until that time, until probably the second half of this year to see if they're able to actually keep up with demand, which is being inflated by the stupid scalpers.
Yep.
At least they didn't do something as heinous as hacking another company, like a group did this week to CDProjek Red.
That was kind of unexpected.
Was it though? I mean, I'm surprised that it didn't happen sooner.
Like what? I never understood the intent behind it. I mean, people can be upset about a company throwing out a bad game, but I don't know if it warrants them being hacked for it.
I think in this case it was more about notoriety.
Okay.
So there was an update that's not in the original article that I sent. but basically they ransomware CDProjek Red into paying them a certain amount of money in Bitcoin, of course, so that it's untraceable. And they said if their demands were not met, it's going to be leaked online. It's going to be shared with games journalists, and any games journalists worth their salt, I know for a fact, would never touch stuff that has been stolen, because then they lose their reputation. They said they were going to sell like the source code of their games to the black market, and like the recent update was that they sold their stuff to the black market, but it's a bit shady because they did start an auction and it went live, but it didn't stay online the amount of time that they said it would, because they said this was going out for a week and it was online and it was set for a week, and like 48 hours later it was gone. Like the whole auction had disappeared, and they said they sold it to somebody on the dark web.
Was it the dark
source
web?
Code? Yeah.
Because I thought like there was just an interested party that said, because I think they wanted 7 million for it. They would sell it at 7 million. From what I read, it was like, we found an interested party that's willing to give 7 million for it, so we're canceling the auction. Because it was this, I think it was the source code for Gwent and for The Witcher 3, or was it also CyberPunk?
CyberPunk, Gwent, The Witcher 3, and a unreleased version of The Witcher 3.
Oh yeah, it had ray tracing. Yeah, because it had ray tracing in it. So maybe that's like the next gen version they're working on.
Maybe, I have no idea. Nobody knows.
But that version is confirmed, right? Like we know that there's going to be a next gen version of The Witcher 3.
Exactly, that one is true. We know that one is coming out eventually. I'm going to say eventually right now, because if they have any sense of decency, they'll give the developers the time that they need and won't work them to the bone for it, because they got a lot on their plate with CyberPunk. So
apparently CyberPunk also had some issues with some updates, because there was an update that came out, and through like an exploit in mods, it allowed people's computers to be hacked or like taken over remotely, and they had to bring out like a quick fix for that as well. So it hasn't been the easiest of times for CDProjek Red, besides the whole Cyberpunk stuff that's already been going on.
Yeah. So I think they're, I don't know. Updates like that feel like they're still trying to rush the game, which at this point, you guys have reached the point where you don't need to rush. Take the gosh darn time to just fix the game and make it playable on the other systems, or considering the fact that it's not even available for PlayStation anymore digitally, at the very least cancel the PlayStation 4 version, because it's not worth a dang.
But I think they can't do that from a financial point of view. Besides the whole backlash, because people will go just like pitchforks would come out all over the place and they would just burn CDProjek Red down, I think. But besides that part, they would potentially alienate an install base of over 125 million PS4s out there. They would just close the door on it, and they'll just like lose loads of money, because they're like,
but how many people bought it on the PlayStation 4 though? We don't know that.
We don't know, but maybe like people are maybe holding out because they want those updates. I mean, like I have it on PC, and I haven't played it since my initial couple of hours, because the game was in a less state. I'm okay waiting for those big updates. I mean, like we got one. I think we're gonna get another one this month, or maybe not anymore. But like I am willing to wait to be able to experience that game to the fullest, and I don't mind. And I think like a lot of people have maybe the same. They're like, you know what, I have a PS4. I'll just wait for the PS4. I know, like, I've spoken to a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, I'll just wait for the PS5 version to come out, and then I'll buy it either with a PS5, or if I have a PS5 at that moment, I'll just buy it for the PS5. So, like, a lot of people are just holding out as well, because they're like, I want to be able to enjoy this game to the fullest. And if I have to do it on a next-gen console for that, hey, I'll do that.
Yeah. and hopefully, I don't know. I don't know anymore with CDProjek Red at this point. I think it's been such a spectacular fall from grace that I don't even remember the last company that did this outside of
BioWare.
Anthem.
Yeah, BioWare.
Yeah, but at least with BioWare, they're trying to win people back with the legendary or legacy edition legendary edition of Mass Effect. The trilogy that's coming out, still not announced for Switch.
Yeah, did we announce? Did we talk about the release date?
No, I think we did. Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Because it's coming out in May.
Yeah, May 14th, I think.
Yeah. And then I said that was like uncharacteristically fast, but I guess we'll see. At least with that, they kind of can't go wrong for the most part. I mean, they took out the multiplayer, which honestly, I've never played the multiplayer, so I honestly don't care.
Those games are made for the single player.
But there was also a DLC that did not make the cut this time around. Something to do with how DLC worked in the first game. It's not DLC that people really cared about, so it doesn't matter anyways.
They're going to throw in 40 packs of DLC anyway, so...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the good DLC is included, so, hold your bridges.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess there's only two other things that we can talk about before we move on to the next segment. And this one is big, because you just saw it, and I saw it beforehand, and...
it was mind-blowing.
It's going to be really creepy in a couple of years, and the reason why I'm saying that is that the Uncanny Valley has taken a big step forward thanks to Epic and their Unreal Engine and their new creator called MetaHuman Creator. If you haven't seen their announcement trailer yet, please do. And please be horrified, because it is so... This is the closest to lifelike that I've ever seen. And this is an editor which you can use in Unreal Engine to make NPCs look the way you want, and they look very lifelike.
Yep.
And considering that this is also coming from the team whose engine is being used for TV shows these days, it's not surprising that this is the next step that they're taking. And it's also not surprising that, considering Unreal Engine 5 is coming out this year, that this would be something that would be tied to it. The interesting thing about MetaHuman Creator is that it is a cloud-based editor, which means that even if you have a dinky laptop like mine, you can still use Epic MetaHuman Creator to create your characters, be they like the main characters in your video game, or if you're working on a movie or a TV show that is, that is a CG movie or TV show, you can use it. It's like, there's no way to describe it over sound. We might be able to splice in a little bit of the footage in the podcast on YouTube, but look it up. Like, I think I might even put the link in the description this week so that people can just like click on it and see it there. But yeah, the MetaHuman Creator. What was your opinion on it, Sean?
I think when I saw it, I was amazed by how lifelike it looks, and I especially had it when there's like this close up where you see somebody's face and you see their teeth and like the flesh around the teeth, and I'm like, whoa, this looks really real. Like, but I think, and that's something I hope we're gonna see moving forward, is that is one of the issues I ran into with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, is that the game is so massive, but at the same time, because of that massive scale, the world doesn't feel alive. Whereas with the older Assassin's Creed games, they did like a couple of cities, and those cities felt alive. And one of the things that CyberPunk is doing is that it's not a huge map, but the city is so dense, it's so alive, there's so much to do, that they really convey the feeling that the city is just alive and that you are just, you can run into random stuff at every corner. And I hope that this is one of those tools that will allow next gen games or open world games to be more denser and feel more alive, because it's easier to create NPCs. It's easier to create unique NPCs. I don't know if there's like an option in which they can just batch process and randomize and say like, okay, we need 3,000 NPCs right now, and they hit the push of a button and the system just churns out NPCs at a rate which they then need to animate and stuff like that. I don't know if that's possible, or they like by hand need to create a character, to put it that way.
This feels more like a sculpting tool, like ZBrush.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a tool like SpeedTree.
Yeah,
which
I mean, like,
allows you to create like a bunch of trees like really quickly. Like you make a certain you make your trees, and then SpeedTree allows you to edit the textures of the foliage so they look a bit more unique. And like the textures of the tree bark and stuff like that, so that it feels a little bit more unique. But as soon as you like look, get close to it, and then you see, oh, like this tree is literally that tree over there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
mean, they just announced it. We don't know anything other than what I just told you.
Is it part of Unreal Engine 5, or is it already available now?
It's a part of Unreal Engine. That's all they said. They didn't say there was 5. And it's also not available. I'm pretty sure it's not available yet. So I think we'll have to just wait and see. And I think one of those things is what Epic might announce more details about, either during E3 or during the Summer of Games. At this point, who knows where they're going to announce stuff like this? They might announce it on their own, like they did right now. So who knows? The last thing that we can, unless you want to talk a little bit more about creepy, digitally realistic teeth.
I'm good.
Mouth openings.
Oh man!
Seriously, they focused on the mouth explicitly just to show that it's well animated because it's motion capture. Like that's like all the models that they're making is rigged, ready for use, rigged, ready for mocap. So if you're doing performance capture, you can use the. Oh my goodness, that's so creepy.
Yeah, but like at the same time, it gives. I mean, this opens a door for smaller indie developers to create bigger, prettier games, because I think that's one of the things that you're really seeing, that as an indie developer, because resources are generally limited, they don't have the time or the money to create these crazy open world they can't go out and create the next Assassin's Creed because they don't have the resource for it. But I think like with tools like this, they will be able to create like a mini Assassin's Creed fitting for their budget. So I think it will help diversify the kind of games we're seeing on all levels, because AAA games will benefit because it will look unique and denser living worlds. And indie developers will be able to do other stuff they've never been able to do before because they simply have the tools now.
Yeah. Well, they said that MetaHuman Creator is scalable. So from like the highest rig to mobile. So when I hear stuff like that, that also automatically means, like talking about stuff that could potentially show up on something like the Nintendo Switch. So
who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Speaking of Switch, slightly related topic as our last news. Apparently, there are some people, not a lot. Just to preface up front, this is not something that is rampant yet. But apparently, on Reddit, people have been documenting their their DualSense controllers showing drift on their analog sticks.
Yeah.
And not like a little bit, but like a lot. In the terms of the drift, not in terms of the amount of people. Again, not a lot of people, a small concentrated amount of people on Reddit are sharing their drift issues with their DualSense controllers. Don't know how much of them are legit, but some have shown videos of their DualSense controllers just like the right analog stick just drifting the camera the whole time. So I don't know if this is something that is blown way out of the proportion, or if this is something that legit could be a concern. Have you been experiencing anything like that?
No. No, I know that the analog sticks in the DualSense are the same analog sticks as in the DualShock 4. So I think this is like an isolated thing, because if it was such a big issue, if one seen maybe like a recall or an acknowledgement or a class action, because there is a law firm trying to maybe bring a class action against Sony for the DualSense Drift. It looks like an opportunistic move to me, but hey, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Sony fanboy apparently. I mean, if it was an issue, I think that it would have happened on the DualShock 4 as well. And I know that there's been drift. I mean, I've had an instance. I didn't even know I had it, but like I had an old PS4 and I wanted to trade it in. So I went to the Game Mania and they tested with some controller tool. You can do that as well. It's a website. And then the person working there said like, hey, there's drift to your controller here, here, and here. And I didn't even realize it was there because I had just been playing my games. But I've rarely heard people say that they have drift in their controllers, or maybe it's like isolated on the PS4. So if it was like a design flaw in the analog stick, then we would have heard it by far now, because it's the same analog stick module, literally the same component from what I heard and understood that they use in the DualShock 4. So this just looks like we're riding the wave of actual stuff that's happening, and PS5 is a hot topic. So, let's just sue them because we need money or whatever.
Well, then again, Americans tend to sue when it comes to stuff like this. So we have no idea. And with class action lawsuits, they have to have enough people participating and showing proof that they're experiencing the issue. So the question is, are they going to have a lot of people, or at least enough people for them to make a case that's solid enough to take on, or if they're only going to get like just a few people that are experiencing some issues with their DualShock controller. Which
did you just say DualShock?
No, I said DualShock again. Sorry, I mean.
I thought you said DualShock. Like, yeah.
Why on earth would I say? Never mind.
I think you said that.
So, nah, I didn't. But anyway, that is it. That is all the news that we have. So stick around, and we'll be right back with second segment, which is what we've been playing. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the second segment, which is, of course, what we've been playing. So, Sean Templar, what have you been playing?
I haven't been playing a lot. I've after I finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I went into my backlog and I started to play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order again. The funny thing is I bought the game in 2019 and I played it for like a couple of hours, and after that I just didn't touch it, and then I lent it to someone, and then didn't see that person for months because of the pandemic, and then I got it back eventually. The funny thing is I got this app, and in the app I can keep track of the games I want to play or have played or I'm looking forward to. So basically what I did is I went through my whole backlog and I said like, okay, this is maybe a game I want to play. This is maybe a game I don't want to play. And I made a list, and there's like 24, 28 games on it. And Fallen Order was one of those games. I think I finished in like a week and a half, something like that. I really liked it. I have a few issues with the game because it feels a lot like a Souls-like game. Yeah, because the combat is a lot like Souls-like. So you have stamina for blocking. You can't use infinite force powers. It's like a meter that just drains, and then you have to refill it in some way. If you get killed by an enemy, you lose all your experience at that point until you kill him again, and then you get it back. If you go to like a save point, there's no regenerative health. So you have your BD, which is your little cute little robot on your back, and he has stims that can help you boost your health or fill up your health. And you get, I at least had 3. I think there are upgrades to get more, but I had 3 the whole game. And that's the way to get health. And if you go to a rest point, you can save, you can upgrade your abilities. But if you rest, it will refill your health, it will refill your force, and it will respawn all enemies you just killed in that area. Which is like, because I've had moments in which I finished an area really hard, barely, and then I go to a save point, and then I need health because there's no other way to get health. And then I do hit square, and then all the enemies respawn again. And you're like, oh crap, I have to do this all over again. Yeah.
That
so
sounds like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, all right.
Yeah, so it's maybe like me getting used to it. But that's okay. So yeah.
This is your dry run.
Yeah, I thought I'd like that. And I mean, I liked it. So who knows? Maybe I will like Demon Souls. The game is really cool. It runs on Unreal Engine. I didn't know that. It runs on Unreal Engine. It looks amazing. The cool thing is they brought out a patch for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X version. I played it on PS4 since I have a disc game and I don't have a disc PS5. But hey, that's okay. The story shows are pretty good. You play as Cal, which is a Jedi. There's events in the game that happened, and he's trying to hide the fact that he's a Jedi. But due to certain events, it kind of gets out there that he's a Jedi, and he's immediately hunted by Inquisitors, which are basically Jedi hunters working for the Empire. They're Sith warriors. And then you go to a planet and you find out there's like an ancient vault, and in that vault there's a holocron, and that holocron houses a list of all Force-sensitive people in the galaxy, or Force-sensitive children that can basically become the next Jedi Order. So it's basically your quest to recover that list, but you need to go to all sorts of planets, do all sorts of stuff, learn new skills, the whole shebang. It has kind of like a Mass Effect kind of system to it, in which you have a ship and you can just go to multiple planets at any time and do certain objectives, because you need to sometimes go to a planet and then you figure out, you miss a certain item, then you need to go to another planet to get the item, then you go. Yeah, so there's you're after this holocron, which is a list that contains the next generation of Jedi. And as I said, you have to go to different planets to get different kind of objects to further yourself in the quest to get this vault. It is, as I said before, it looks amazing. It doesn't have a lot of familiar characters in it, besides maybe one at the end. I won't spoil who that is. No, I won't. I mean, like, it was an unexpected one for me as well. I was like, what? That made it pretty cool. And so there are different kind of boss battles throughout the game. Those are pretty hard. The Inquisitors are called blah 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 sisters. So there's like one called Ninth Sister. There's one called Second Sister. And they're all Sith Inquisitors trying to hunt you down and also get their hands on the list, because they want to kill those kids or maybe convert them to Inquisitors, because it serves the Empire's purpose to have them. One of them is those were maybe like the only parts in the game where I really struggled, because they're really, really hard to beat. And I played on normal. So like the Ninth Sister, which is on Kashyyyk, it was this boss battle that just kept on going, and I just kept getting my ass handed to me. And I think it took me like a couple of hours to beat her. And then I don't know what happened. It almost felt like I got into touch with the Force itself. And then when I started to play, I don't know what happened. It almost felt like, you've seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
You know the part where Neo in Matrix 1, he dies, and then he just gets up, and then he beats Agent Smith, but like with ease. He blocks him with ease, and he just kicks his ass like without breaking a sweat. And it felt like I had one of those moments. Just suddenly, I had this moment where I tapped into the Force, and I thought like, I'm one with the Force, and the Force is one with me. And then I just blocked all the attacks, and I just beat him because I had instances in which there was like a tiny bar of health left, and would almost beat him, and then I got killed. It happened like 3 times, and I almost threw my controller at the wall. And I never do that, but I was really frustrated. But like I had that moment in where I just had like I'm one with the Force, and the Force is one with me, and then it worked, and I beat the enemy, and then. At the end, I didn't have that. At the end, there's one boss battle, and I just couldn't do it. And I felt like I was at the end. So it was like, you know what? I want to finish this game. And I don't feel like putting more hours into this because I can feel that I'm at the end. So I lowered the difficulty just to get past the boss, and I beat it.
That's fair.
I never do that.
You do realize you can't do that in Demon Souls, right?
No. I'm also not going to do it in Demon Souls. But I mean, like what I've done for Demon Souls is I've already watched streams like from start to finish. I kind of get like an idea on what to do. And I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be ashamed to use a guide for that game. Because if it's the difference between me being able to finish that game and not finishing it at all, I'd rather use a guide.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Yeah. I also played... besides Call of Duty, but I'm trying to take a break from Call of Duty because I'm a little bit frustrated with Call of Duty because it's always hit and miss. I started playing GTA 5 online again.
Why?
Because we have like this friend group of people we play Call of Duty together with. We're 8 people. There are rarely games out there that support 8-player multiplayer. So we were like looking at games we all have, and almost everyone has GTA. So we're like, you know what? We'll just do GTA Online. So it's been like...
Did you download the free version on your PlayStation 5 for that, or are you playing on PlayStation 4?
It's not out yet on PS5. So I bought GTA 5 like a couple of years ago on PS4 and digitally. And so they have this deal now that every month that you play GTA Online, you get 1 million in-game currency until GTA 5 comes out on PS5. So GTA 5 Online will be free on PS5, but the single player will probably be like a separate purchase you have to do.
Oh, I thought that was already like, weren't they aiming for launch?
I don't know. It hasn't come out yet, and there's no estimation on when. So until that time, show me the money and just give me 1 million every month. Yeah, I mean, the game has grown massively because it's been years since I played GTA Online. I only used to play the heist with friends, but now they've added the option to open businesses, to become CEOs, to earn money by doing that. So it feels like the game is coming closer to reality step by step.
Can you do corporate takeovers?
I don't think so. That would be awesome.
Can you do violent corporate takeovers?
Well, I haven't dabbed in it a lot, but like I started a nightclub. But one of the parts of the nightclub is that you actually have to do missions like get people like staff and also like a DJ. And a part of the nightclub is that you have a warehouse and you can use the warehouse for not legitimate activities, as they say it, I think, like gun smuggling or drugs running or stuff like that. Because you can start a biker gang or bike club, and that's like a drug running operation. So there are multiple businesses you can start in the game. And I mean, I don't know how long I'll be able to do it, because the thing that annoyed me the most about GTA Online were the load times. It takes forever. And that's just a huge setback for me. Like, I don't have patience for this. And it's not because I'm spoiled with the PS5. I had the same issue on PS4, and there's an SSD in my PS4, and it's still not working.
Yeah, I wonder if because you don't have it digitally, right? Or did you say you had it digitally?
I bought it digitally in a sale like a long time ago.
Then that makes me wonder if you were to use that version on your PlayStation 5, if the load times are better.
I have friends playing on PS5, but they said that for GTA Online that there's no difference in load times.
Oh, well, never mind.
I think it's more like a server-side thing, that the servers, maybe there's so much stuff going on at that server that it just takes a lot of while to load all the data. Because I've had instances in which I spawn and then I almost see the world being constructed in front of me, like pop in and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I think that seems like server side then.
Yeah, I hope they fix it for the next gen version.
Yeah, same here.
And I think that's basically it. I've already decided which game I'm going to play next. Or maybe I'm like in doubt, but I have like 2 games I know that I want to play next. So, yeah, I'll probably talk about that next episode.
Cool. I do have one more question before we move on to me, is that with Fallen Order, do you think it'll have a sequel based on what you've experienced and seen in the ending?
I know that they're working on a sequel because it's been like unofficially confirmed. I don't know
Oh,
if
right,
it's
that's
with
right.
the same characters. I mean, they could go anywhere because it has a pretty open ending. They could do a lot of things. Um, I don't know where it will take them. Like I personally am a huge fan of the Clone Wars era, so I would honestly hope that Star Wars games go explore that part, but for some reason they don't.
Well, they
Um,
might now.
yeah, because there are flashbacks in which you talk to your master, and that's like the flashbacks are around the end of the Clone Wars, but just before Order 66 gets initiated. So you have like flashbacks around that area when you were a kid. Um,
There is a game that came out where you play as a troop of a squad of stormtroopers,
Republic,
clone troopers. Sorry,
yeah, Republic
remember?
Commando.
Yeah, apparently
I know.
there was a leak, and we didn't talk about this in the news, but there was a leak about it coming to Switch.
Yeah, there's I think in the online stuff they found a game cover and references to Republic Commando coming to Switch because the game originally came out on the Xbox, the OG Xbox and the PC. It never got a release outside of that.
Yeah. So yeah, who knows? I mean, it's not like they haven't done this before. Jedi Academy is on Switch.
Yep.
Star Wars Racers is on Switch.
Yep.
So yeah, who knows? Odds are, if this is what they found, there might be an announcement sooner than later.
Yeah, I know that I never played Republic Commando, but I know it's like a really popular game because it was really, really good at the time. And a lot of people want a sequel to that game or like a remake.
Plus, I think it also had online co-op. So
I think so as well, yeah.
Yeah. Which is, something that people really like to tout back in the OG Xbox days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's
it for me. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Well, I've been playing a few things. I finally finished Astral Chain.
Yay!
That's one. Beautiful game. Boss battle. The final boss battle was really challenging. Luckily, I only had to redo it once. So that's thank goodness. But I was so close to beating him, and I needed to just heal, and I couldn't heal quick enough because, like games like Monster Hunter, you really have to dedicate your move. So when you're doing a move, you can cancel out of some, but not all.
I had that too with Star Wars.
Because of that, there were moments where I wanted to heal where I couldn't because I was trying to still stand up. With stand-up animation is not invisible frames. Plus, you can't cancel out of your standing up animation. So you get hit again and then you're dead. That's basically what happened to me. And wow, like the game is like I almost said something bad. The game is so gorgeous on Switch. Like it's ridiculous how pretty this game is. Not just from a technical standpoint, of course, but also from an art direction standpoint. And yeah, it is just the game's ending is also bittersweet. But what I didn't expect is that the game has an epilogue. So I haven't finished the epilogue yet. I'm just gonna take my time. The epilogue is just like a bunch of missions, and then you're gonna probably get some more story stuff to tie it all together. So I still need to go through the epilogue to see if it leaves it open to a sequel or not. But I don't think it's gonna leave it to a sequel because the way the story the main story ends, it doesn't really leave it open to future games. At best, what they might be able to squeeze out is a spin-off or an alternate reality or a prequel. Other than that, I don't really see them doing anything in terms of a sequel which wouldn't involve um, the main enemies, which are the chimeras. And in terms of story, it is very gripping. It is very anime, but at the same time, it works because the aesthetics work for it. You can customize the main character as often as you like. So there's basically a part in the story where uh, I'm not gonna spoil how this happens, but basically you get kicked off the force because you're a police officer. You get kicked off the force and you get this costume, which is just like streetwear. So basically, the rest of the game I was playing it in streetwear because I was taking that role very seriously. Of, I'm not a cop anymore, so why would I wear my cop clothes? But after the game was finished and I started the epilogue, I switched back to the cop clothes because I'm a cop again. And the game still has a lot of stuff. You can go back to like previous chapters, which I might do when I finish the epilogue, just so I can unlock more stuff, because you can unlock other articles of clothing that I haven't unlocked yet. And I want to see what else I can unlock. Plus, I want to collect all the cats, because every chapter has a cat that you can find and rescue. And you have a hideout where, I think I talked about this the last time, but you have a hideout where all your rescued cats are there and you can feed them and watch them play with like an empty can. And it's super adorable. You can't pet them, unfortunately, but it is super adorable and cute. And, you can just go there whenever, as long as it's in between missions.
It sounds like you need a cat in real life.
Yeah, people have been trying to get me to get a cat, but
go for it.
I have my reasons why I currently do not have a pet. Maybe in the future, but not right now. But yeah, ask if people are familiar with whatever Platinum has made. So if you've ever played Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, Wonderful 101, that pretty kick-ass Transformer games that they made a couple of years ago, which unfortunately is not available anymore. Thanks for that, Activision. Yeah, if you love Platinum games, this is another game that I totally recommend picking up for the Switch, since it's an exclusive and it's technically a first-party game. Yeah, it's just really cool. Astral Chain, check it out. It's awesome. The other thing that I've been doing after that is going back to Nier Automata. I'm nearing the end of that one. Man, that game's story, man. Like, it really, oh man. Like, I don't want to spoil anything because I'm very deep into the game, but if you're someone who can get emotional playing video games, this is one that'll get you really thinking. And I was talking about it to some people on Instagram a while ago, just saying that if you were curious to know about how you would feel about artificial intelligence gaining sentience, this will probably either in terms of story might put you off, or you might be intrigued by what that means. And especially now in the part that I am, it raises a lot of questions, and you get some very interesting and some might say a little bit off-putting answers. But at the same time, there is a beauty to it all. There's a beauty to the story of Nier Automata, and I know that a lot of people have played it, and I don't know how to convince them. Other than there's a review of the game that is not spoilerific, so I do recommend watching it. It's by Skill Up. He did a review on Nier Automata, and it's like a very extensive yet spoiler-free, mostly spoiler-free review about the game and why most people will probably never pick it up, but they probably should. So I would also recommend that one. That one was recommended to me by by a good friend of mine. And I watched it. It's like, oh, that's really cool. But I was already, invested in the game, so that just gave me even more incentive to finish the game. So I've been playing that, and another friend, a more recent friend, has got me into playing Breath of the Wild again. I dipped back in. I went back in and started my master mode save, which I tend to dip into every once and again because it is very daunting to play master mode because the enemies regen their health after a certain amount of time. Their health just gets regened, and if you run out of weapons at that point, then you're kind of screwed. They also hit like 3 times as hard. Normally, a hit that would take 1 heart will take 3. So in the early games, if you haven't been able to beat any shrines, you only have 3 hearts and you get killed in 1 hit. So, that's fun. I have 4 hearts now. I still get my butt kicked in like 2 hearts, in like 2 hits. Sometimes it's 1 hit. Sometimes I get lucky and I get maybe it's a weaker attack from an enemy and I get like a sliver of health left and like, yes! And then I get hit again and it's like, no! But luckily the save, what did you call it? The checkpoint system in Breath of the Wild is very generous. So you don't tend you tend not to lose little to no progress. So that's nice. So I've been playing that a little bit. Same person also started playing Animal Crossing, which got me to get into Animal Crossing again. I'm not playing every day. I'm playing like every other day, just doing like the basic tasks, build a snowman, make sure that everybody's been talked to at least once, buy the stuff that I want to buy. And a couple of days ago, I actually had one of my friends in Japan who recently got a Switch with, she got the Animal Crossing edition.
Oh, nice.
And so she's been playing that, and she was online, and we were both online at the same time, and she was messaging me and like, hey, come and visit my island. She was very excited about that. So I gave her the grand tour. She was I have stuff that she doesn't have yet, of course. So she was very impressed by, like, for example, my giant, not Godzilla, but Godzilla statue, which if you activate it, it makes noise and spits fire. And she was like, oh, nice. That is so cool.
That's really cool.
So I gave her a bunch of recipes that I had double. And because she just started, she was like, really? So she's like, what can I take? I'm like, here, have it all. I'm like, she's like, really? Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I mean, I've been hanging on to that stuff for like months, and anybody that's visited my island has been playing as long as I have. So they have like the same amount of stuff or more. So it was nice to at least make someone happy with all these DIY recipes. And it's the first time I've been playing this game during the winter. So this was the first time the game popped up and it's like, oh, it's Winter Wonderland. Oh, wow, that's actually kind of pretty. Which is nice because here it started snowing and it matched the in-game, which tends to not happen that often. So it was nice. I mean, the snow is melting now, but it was nice. It looks nice, and like as you're listening to this, Carnival already happened on February 15th. They don't celebrate Valentine's Day, but they do have Valentine's Day items that you can get, which I got, like candy and stuff like that.
Do they do something for Chinese New Year?
They didn't.
Oh, I would not have expected that. No, I think they did. I think I saw somebody wearing an outfit.
You can find, yeah, you can get items. I mean, you can get specific. They didn't have specific items for Chinese New Year. Oh no, wait, they did. I bought it, but you can get like a statue of like an ox, because it's the year of the ox. Am I saying that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So you can get I don't know if it's still available, but you could get like a year of the ox like statuette, I think, and I bought it. was sent to me in the mail in game. Of course, you get it the next day when you order stuff. Yeah, they really should. That like ordering stuff in Animal Crossing is funny because it's like way more reliable than Amazon right now, unless you have Prime. So it's basically like you have Prime and you order something like the next day it's in. But if
Do you
you're
have
ordering
to
stuff,
wait a whole day?
sorry,
Do you actually have to wait a day? Wow.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Or you can mess with the clock and then
Yeah, I've heard that like that hack you can just speed up time by just.
Yeah, I mean it's not a hack. You can just change the date. It's something that you can do since the beginning. But at least when you did it in the beginning, you got caught. There's this character, Mr. Rossetti, who comes out and like really berates you about it and gives you a whole lecture of why it's wrong to do stuff like that. Or when you accidentally reset the system, he gets really angry with you then.
Yeah?
Yeah, but he's not in the like he's still represented in New Horizons, but more as a decoration and in the background. So like when you get stuck on a piece of island and you can't get back, you can like call an SOS line and he's the guy that basically saves you, but it goes to a black screen so you don't see him. You just hear him talk.
Okay.
Kind of sad. people were afraid of him, but at the same time they liked how stern he was, but more people were put off by his sternness, so they've been like reducing his role in the games ever since the first game.
I can imagine.
So I've been playing that. I've been playing Animal Crossing. Is there anything else that I played? Did I talk about it the last time? I think I did.
I don't know what you're gonna mention.
Nathan Drake.
Oh yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. All right, okay. Then we don't have to rehash that. I played a little bit more.
Still on the first one?
Yeah, still on the first one.
Okay.
Yeah,
you need to get to the second one. The second one is so good.
Yeah, but I'm kind of taking my time because my priority right now is
No.
It's
This
Nier
should
Automata.
be your priority.
No.
Skip
Nier
all
is
that.
Nier is my priority.
Skip all that JRPG mumbo jumbo. This is what you need to play. This is it.
Nah, man. Like, let me finish Nier and then I can focus on Uncharted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost at the end with Nier, so
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically what I've been playing. So I guess that's all that is fit to play.
Nice. And with that, I think we've come to what was supposed to be a unique episode, but halfway through recording, we experienced some technical difficulties in which the video feed cut out, unfortunately. So this will be a classic episode without video. I'm a bit sad because I was really looking forward to it.
It was going so well too.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like in the middle of the second segment, it just cut out. I think we need to kind of like iron out some issues so that we can consistently do this, because that's one of the things we really want to do. It's really difficult as well to get webcams these days because they're just so crazy expensive because of the pandemic. But hey, we'll have to look around and see if we can fix some of the technical issues. But as always, thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate all your support, your feedback, your comments. It's really nice to keep on doing this. I think we've said it before, but like we really look forward to doing this every time. So it's like in the week when I know that we're going to do this, I'm like, oh yeah, so excited. We're going to do this. And even though it always looks like there's nothing to talk about, we always find things to talk about, which makes it nice. So don't forget to check us out. We're on all the major podcasting platforms. We're on Anchor, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Overcast, you name it, we're there. You can also leave us a voice message through Anchor. The link is in the description. You don't have to make an account for it. You can just leave us a voice message if you want. If you do, we might feature you as a rival. You can leave us your feedback through email as well, gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. We have a Twitter @game_rivals_. We have an Instagram @GameRivals. That's where I'm mostly at. We have the awesome @Maximilian_X, where you can get all your JRPG Nintendo goodness. But as I said, he should actually be playing Uncharted. But hey, we'll forgive him for that this time. But do check it out because he has some cool stuff going up there. I really like the reel you did around the unboxing with the gold Pokemon card. That was really nice.
Yeah, that was a giveaway, man.
Yeah, that was so cool.
That's from Nintendo Collector 85 on Instagram. Go check him out.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So that, and then I think I've mentioned it all, right?
Yep. You mentioned the email. You mentioned the Instagram. You mentioned the Twitter.
That's it. Yeah. On that note, I have been and will always be Sean Templar.
And I have been and always will be Maximilian X.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.